The internet is flooded with information about the benefits of mindfulness and meditation. The words are often used interchangeably with very little explanation of either. For students, it's really hard to know where to start meditating or how to live mindfully. And starting at square one, that can often be a confusing space. As teachers, we need to be clear. In this session, I will unpack the difference between mindfulness and meditation. A basic understanding of the differences between these two concepts can help you carve out a practice that meets your needs or the needs of your students. There are many different types of meditation, as we know, each with different qualities and specific practices that will lead the meditator in different directions of self-development and awareness. Choosing a practice requires an understanding of one's goals, as well as an understanding of what each type of meditation can give you. In this session, I'll break down the difference between mindfulness and meditation, also the similarities too. We'll look at several different meditation practices and examine them comparatively. It's necessary to understand these concepts so that you can begin or continue your journey towards your personal mindfulness and meditation goals too. So, first up, mindfulness is a quality. Meditation is a practice. Let's look at some definitions between the two constructs. So you may well have heard of Jon Kabat-Zinn. He's one of the most famous and popular Western writers on this topic. And he's also the creator of mindfulness-based stress reduction, the program based around this, or MBSR for short. I'm trained in this area. He defines mindfulness as the awareness that arises through paying attention on purpose in the present moment, non-judgmentally. If we compare this to the definition of meditation by Walsh and Shapiro, meditation is a practice where an individual uses a technique such as mindfulness or focusing the mind on a particular object, thought, or activity to train the attention and awareness and achieve a mentally clear and emotionally calm and stable state. While Kabat-Zinn's definition describes a way of relating to oneself and one's environment, the second definition by Walsh and Shapiro defines a formal practice meant to alter or enhance one's mental state. While there are many different definitions on each of these concepts, the differences, as alluded in the two definitions just given, are pretty clear. Meditation is a practice, and through this practice, one can develop different qualities, including mindfulness. Mindfulness, on the other hand, describes a specific way of living that can be cultivated through practice. There is a category of meditative practice called mindfulness meditation. We'll work a lot with this within our series of sessions together. This type of meditation can help the practitioner to live and act with mindfulness. But as I'll unpack, there are many categories of meditative practice, of which mindfulness meditation is only one. Throughout this course, you'll experience and learn about both mindfulness and meditation. Second point to note, meditation is one of many roads to mindful living. Meditation is one method through which someone may learn to live mindfully. We can also think about meditation as an actual tool to develop mindfulness. Meditation has been proven to be incredibly effective in helping people to be more mindful in their daily experiences. For example, those who practice mindfulness as a form of meditation, systematically, day by day, with discipline, such as those that are on MBSR programs or in MBCT programs as well, they will actually feel more calm and mindful in their everyday lives. Meditation is a way to plant the seeds of mindfulness and to water them so that they grow throughout our lives. Although meditation is highly effective for this purpose, it is, as I said before, just one of the ways to cultivate mindfulness, as we will see later on. Also, mindfulness can be used as a treatment that doesn't include meditation. Not everybody wants to or can meditate, or they choose not to be able to be fair. Mindfulness is a quality. It's associated with many mental health benefits and other positive attributes such as self-esteem and self-acceptance. For these reasons, many practitioners see mindful living as a worthwhile goal for their clients. However, not all clients are receptive, as I said before, to meditation or willing to build a formal practice in their everyday lives, saying that they're too busy or, I'm sure you've come across it. Have you heard of dialectical behavior therapy, or DBT? This is actually an excellent example of a treatment that uses mindfulness to help clients, participants, without requiring them to meditate formally. So DBT interventions are aimed at assisting clients in developing what we call a wise mind by learning different skills that can help them embody the qualities of the definition from Jon Kabat-Zinn. DBT clinicians guide their clients towards mindfulness without ever having them actually engage in any formal meditation practice. So this is actually an important aspect to keep in mind for you as a teacher. And if you're trying to help your students to cultivate mindfulness, but maybe there are limiting factors in their life, such as time or hesitation, there are many roads to Rome. So what else? Mindfulness can be practiced formally and informally. So to meditate is actually a paradoxical thing, as in an exercise of, non-doing. Generally speaking, the work is to become an observer of one's inner world by exerting minimal effort and actually adopting a stance of non-judgment. These qualities are opposite to the way that many of us live our lives in this world, always striving to get ahead and prioritizing work over rest. Practicing formal meditation by sitting for a designated period can actually provide a refuge from the busyness of the world and remind us that we do not need to work so hard to achieve our goals or be who we think we want to be. Despite its many virtues, not everybody wants to engage in formal mindfulness practice either. However, these people may still want to be more mindful in their everyday lives. You might hear people use the language, "I'd like to be more mindful." Luckily, there are many informal ways to practice mindfulness too, such as mindful eating, mindful walking, even mindful conversation. To practice mindfulness informally really means to engage in just your normal everyday activities with the intention of being mindful, so just flicking that switch before you start the activity. Generally, this will involve slowing down, paying attention, suspending judgment, and being fully engaged in whatever experience is happening in the present moment. Although mindfulness is only one aspect of meditation, mindfulness is actually an important part of meditation, should we see it this way. But other factors make meditation special. One other vital quality of meditation is concentration. Do you ever remember at school your teacher saying, concentrate? Most people are never taught how to concentrate. Meditation does just this. So when deprived of external stimuli, such as something direct to look at, the mind can wander. So in meditation, we can end up in 1,000 different places. When the mind is wandering, it can actually be hard to maintain focus on the meditation practice at hand. So training one's attention to concentrate more fully allows for more successful and fulfilling meditation practices, and potentially more mindfulness in one's everyday life. Okay, so let's actually look at the difference between meditation and mindfulness in a few different meditation settings. So if we take transcendental meditation compared to mindfulness, first of all, or TM for short, it's a popular form of meditation. I'm sure you've all heard of TM. It's taken root with many celebrities that endorse this as a practice to, I guess, improve relaxation, focus, clarity. Some people that practice TM, where they were the Beatles originally, and then we've got more later proponents such as Oprah Winfrey, Hugh Jackman. So TM and mindfulness meditation differ in several ways. First, the roots of these practices are actually fundamentally different. Mindfulness originated in the Buddhist tradition and was popularized in our Western culture by writers such as Jon Kabat-Zinn, who I mentioned previously, Pema Chodron, and Thich Nhat Hanh. TM actually originated with the Vedic tradition, so yogic tradition. It's an ancient religious tradition that is synonymous with India and Hinduism. And I guess this was brought to the West by, you may have heard of Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. Next, I guess people really think of both TM and mindfulness having similar goals. So they both look at things like alleviating stress and experiencing peace of mind. Yet the practices themselves, although the outcomes are desirably the same, the practices are different. So whilst one is practicing TM, one uses a mantra or mantra. In this case, it's a monosyllabic sound designed to induce a transiated state. So in contrast, mindfulness meditation actually involves awareness of the mind. So as it wanders repeatedly, we refocus our awareness on the present moment. So the work of someone who is mindfully meditating is to reclaim the mind, always bringing it back, when the meditator notices that it has wandered. This process is much more active than transcendental meditation, which allows the mind to roam freely wherever it wants. Another key difference between the two traditions is how they're taught. So mindfulness can be learned through reading a book or attending some sort of training or a community meditation class. It can also be learned through, as I mentioned before, like a clinical program such as MBSR or MBCT, mindfulness-based cognitive therapy. TM is taught exclusively by certified teachers of transcendental meditation. So yeah, they're very different. The two traditions have actually been applied clinically in similar ways though. So TM is very useful in relieving symptoms of PTSD. Because the focus of TM is on relaxation, it's also been linked to benefits in reducing hypertension and other cardiovascular issues. So mindfulness has also been studied in the treatment of other disorders, such as it's very useful for obsessive compulsive disorder, depression, and PTSD. So with mindfulness, we can apply this in a hospital setting as well. And if we combine that with behavioral therapy techniques, it's possible to see massive benefits to the person's daily life. Both TM and mindfulness meditation might be well suited as treatments, as they're quite easy to administer in group settings. So let's look at another type of meditation: mantra meditation and Zen meditation. So how are these different from mindfulness? Mantra meditation and Zen both differ extremely from mindfulness. Mantra, first of all, which encompasses a bit of the transcendental meditation methodology, involves repeatedly eliciting a phrase through the meditation practice out loud. Zen meditation, on the other hand, also originates from Buddhism, but from Zen Buddhism, and has the purpose of helping practitioners understand the world differently. The focus is on strict discipline and attention control for the achievement of a specific state of mind. If we flick back, in mantra meditation, the meditator is free to actually create their own mantra, except in some initiated mantra practices. This can be a comforting place. It could be a phrase, it could be a poem, anything that's short, making it easy to remember. They are also generally very uplifting, and the design is to be nourishing and comforting and something that's familiar, to stir up good emotions and distract from thoughts that could be not helpful. The mantra is the object of concentration during the meditation and is said repeatedly over and over. It's used as a tool to help the meditator override mental speech and stay focused on the practice. In Zen meditation, the practice focuses on pure discipline, and the practitioner learns to regulate their attention. It's quite hardcore. Like other Buddhist sects, Zen Buddhists practice achieving enlightenment, searching inside themselves for answers to life's questions. This process really involves a dismissal of all thoughts and real sustained efforts to clear the mind and think about nothing. I think a lot of people think that's the only type of meditation. Meditators will use Zen techniques to accumulate self-knowledge, build their awareness, and develop an intuitive understanding of reality. They practice experiencing life directly without the constraints of language or of logical reasoning. Sounds quite tough. The goal, though, is to eliminate the conceptualized self, a state that Zen practitioners consider representative of nirvana. In contrast to Zen, the mindful meditator does not strive to think about nothing. Instead, the practice involves noticing and acknowledging the thoughts of the wandering mind. Very different. Once the meditator has realized where the mind has gone, they gently, like a cat playing with a ball, redirect the thoughts back to the present moment, rather than the Zen meditator's focus being on eliminating the self and reaching for nirvana. The goal of mindfulness meditation is to cultivate a self that embodies the qualities of mindfulness in everyday life. So let's look at the differences with mindfulness and concentration meditation, another type. So as previously discussed, mindfulness and concentration are two concepts and two components of many traditional meditation practices. Concentration is a key tool that will help the meditator fully attend to the object of their practice. The object differs depending on the type of practice and can be anything from the feeling of the breath to the sound of nature or a mantra. Comparatively, concentration allows the meditator to increase their focus to achieve the best results. Mindfulness, on the other hand, is the sensitive awareness that allows the meditator to experience their practice in an expansive and non-judgmental way. So the two are deeply related. Without concentration, it's challenging to cultivate mindfulness at all, because it's hard to train the wandering mind to do much of anything without concentration. We can think of concentration as like the blunt instrument that is vital for cultivating mindfulness. But it is not actually mindfulness itself. I think that's really key. So it's focusing like a laser, a stubborn, forceful process that allows the meditator to stay focused on the practice. In contrast, mindfulness cannot be forced. It's a gentle quality that results from the repetitious process of gently reclaiming the wandering mind. Concentration is essential for noticing when the mind is wandering, though. But when the mind has been reclaimed, mindfulness is essential for learning from the process. You have to be mindfully kind to yourself. Basically, mindfulness is an attitude of open kindness, which allows you to look at your own failings and mistakes with openness and kindness. Concentration is neither kind or unkind. It's merely the ability for the mind to stay with the activity in which it is engaged. There is an order to the development of these two qualities, I would say, and it begins with concentration. So prioritizing concentration is specifically important at the beginning when people start to meditate. So meditators are likely to find that their mind wanders frequently when they first begin. This is sometimes, I'm sure you've heard the terminology, monkey mind, because the mind is mischievous, it's hard to pin down, and sometimes seems to be wandering to simply provoke you. Concentration can actually be developed. And over the process of time, more and more meditation practices, it will become much less of an effort, with the reclaiming process happening with less frequency and effort. So to begin practicing concentration meditation, I've always recommended using a timer on the phone. Something like Insight Timer is really good. And practicing counting the breath. You can start from 1 and count to 10. And then when the mind wanders, go back to 1 again. Loop this for 10 to 15 minutes, twice a day. See how the concentration improves after that. Mindfulness begins with not judging yourself for where your mind wanders to. We need to be gentle. So, I've said a lot. What do you make of all this? Despite their differences, the benefits of different meditation practices can be enormous, and I reckon they're definitely interrelated with mindfulness. Mindfulness meditation is perhaps the most accessible and popular form in today's Western world, with the way that we just generally live. But the determination of which practice is best comes down to each person's individual goals. So don't let people tell you otherwise. It's possible though to be eclectic and actually pick different things and choose different elements and be playful and create a practice that is uniquely yours. I encourage you to find a specific type of meditation practice that you like and just try it out for size. But don't be afraid to look into other methods as well or discount them. If you find that a practice works for you, the most important thing is to be patient and consistent in your routine. To have an intention about what you hope to cultivate within yourself. So, that concludes the discussion about the differences and similarities between mindfulness and meditation. Let me know if you have any further thoughts. See you next session.